This Mr. Negative deck only needs one Series 5 card. I've been climbing with this in top 500 Infinite, and this deck absolutely farms ramp, destroy, and discard decks that are all over the meta. Now let's dive into this deck guide so you can get out there and obliterate those gamers too. Hey, what is up everybody? Kicker of Elves here, today with an in-depth deck guide on Mr. Negative. Now, this iteration of the deck, you only need one Series 5 card. I have absolutely been crushing the ladder in top 500 Global Infinite. I climbed about 100 SP on mobile using this deck, and I figured this is a great time to sit down and really just go over this list with the wider group here. I got this from Qwerty on X, who is a very good Conquest player, but I figured let me see how this goes on ladder, and I had an absolute blast with it. A little bit under the weather, so apologize if I sound a little bit extra nasally. I already sound a bit nasally, so even more nasally than normal today. And before we dive into the deck, I just want to say, it's the holiday season, and for a lot of people, that could be a really great time of joy, friends, family, gift giving, but it could also be a stressful period out there. If you're worried about getting gifts, if you have you're in final session over at school, or you're having a tough time closing out the year at work, there can be a lot of stuff going on. So I just want to say that yes, you, the viewer, whatever you're working through, whatever difficult thing you've got in your life, you've got this. You've made it to the exact point where you're at right now in life, through any single hardship that's come your way. So just keep on moving, take a 5-minute break, walk around the block, think about the problem, and you've got this 100%. All right, that's enough awkward optimism from Kicker of Elves here. Let's talk about this lovely Mr. Negative deck. This is awesome, first and foremost, because it requires only one Series 5 card, Gore the God Butcher, and holistically, what this deck is trying to do is combine the classic Mr. Negative pop-off with things like Jane Foster and, high-cost, low-power or zero-power cards like Iron Man, with Jane Foster pulling them out, with a bit more of a dedicated destroy package. Right now, we've got a lot of people trying to make destroy work. Weapon X is the card of the season. We've got Adamantium Infusion. Fastball Special is coming. You've got a lot of people trying to experiment with different methods of destroy. Additionally, at the time this guy is going to release, we've got a bit more time on Weapon H being the new Series 5 card, and people trying to complete those missions where people are doing a lot of discard. So discard, destroy, great points decks, but they don't have a lot of interaction. This deck looks to capitalize on that and easily go over the top of decks like discard, and then also get kind of a free roll into destroy with cards like Knull, Arnim Zola, Killmonger, and then even Rogue to do things like take the opponent's Knull. This is a deck that feels really satisfying to use because even though there are a lot of different play lines, your snap lines and when you need to retreat are pretty clear. Do you have an early Mr. Negative using Ravonna? Do you have Mr. Negative and Jane Foster and Magic out on the board? Do you think this is a deck that you're playing against that has Legion? It's very easy to know when to snap. And then, of course, you have to be comfortable with things like, all right, I've got Arnim Zola, Gore, and Shang-Chi in my hand, and it's turn 5 and I haven't drawn Mr. Negative and they snapped on me. That's when it's time to dip. If you aren't okay with taking a good amount of 1-cube losses, for example, this deck might frustrate you, but getting those huge 4 and 8 cube wins and 2 cube retreats when you snap correctly and then they realize you're about to play Jane Foster and they've stayed in and then need to dip, this deck feels phenomenal. So in a lot of Mr. Negative lists, instead of cards like Shang-Chi and Killmonger, you might be seeing a lot of people running Esme, people running Sage. We are running Shang-Chi here to fuel our Knull, fuel our destroy package, and because, as I've talked about in some recent videos, and you've probably seen in videos from the Great Glazer, the GOAT over at Snap Judgments, Shang-Chi is starting to come back, but he's coming back in a way that he really was never relevant before. He's now more of a surprise card. We've got a lot of decks, like the ramp decks are still the class of the meta right now. A lot of greater than 10 power cards. You got your Infinauts, your Galactus First Steps contesting locations. And because of the way the previous meta was, where Move was the deck to beat, and Shadow King became the strongest tech card in the game, Victoria Hand's still a threat. Victoria Hand runs Shadow King, not Shang-Chi. A lot of people are saying, oh, I'm going to blank Shadow King by just playing a deck like Ramp where it's I'm not trying to really boost the numbers on the card. Galactus First Steps get bigger, but like the Infinite, Eson, you're not trying to buff those cards up. They just are big cards. So it's like, all right, Shadow King's doing nothing to a card that doesn't have green power. But you know who loves greater than 10 power cards? Shang-Chi. And you know what loves benefiting from Destroy? Knull. And not just Knull, maybe two Knulls. Maybe two Knulls that you play for 0 because you have a 0/6 Knull and a 0/6 Arnim Zola, and the Knull is then getting copied by Mystique, and you can already start to see the potential here. So the heuristics of this deck really come down to a Mr. Negative game plan with Jane Foster pulling out your 0 or lower cost cards with a more Destroy tilt. When you start seeing people trying to build up their Deadpool, or you start seeing ramp decks, you're not thinking, oh God, how am I going to mid-range my way out of this? You're going to say, oh great, which location do I get to blow up with Shang-Chi to boost my Knull that Mystique then copies? Oh, they played out an Ebony Maw. Great, I'm going to Killmonger it and get an additional 7 power on my Knull. It feels incredible in the meta right now. Same thing with discard. Oh wow, your Dracula became 24 power from absorbing that Apocalypse. That's great. I've got 2 0-cost Gores that are each 28 power in the other locations. A lot of very good answers there. So Mr. Negative, ironically, here in December, the first season I hit Infinite was in December of 2022, where I played 2 decks. I played Negative Surfer for the vast majority of the month. I was actually extremely lucky in December, a little sidebar here, but in December of 2022, I actually pulled Bast, who was a Series 5 card at the time. Bast over behind my screen right now, you can't see Bast. I'll bring her up real quick. This was a Series 5 card that was incredible in Mr. Negative decks before we had tools like Ravonna and Esme to help with Negative's consistency. She was Series 5, and I got her on the collection track. I didn't spend 6,000 tokens. That was like a 0.05% chance or something crazy like that. So getting to talk about Mr. Negative and then ramp decks. Ramp was the deck I used to actually cross over from like rank 96 into 100 in that December 2022 season. It's a very nice full circle 3 years later kind of feeling. So that's enough of me waxing nostalgically. Now that we've talked about the heuristics of what you're trying to do with this deck, best way, as always, to really understand how we're going to be successful with this list, or any list, is to do a card-by-card breakdown. So let's get into that. All right, Ravonna Renslayer. I've got to get a variant for this card. I don't want to spend tokens on the Spotlight variant, but look, 1,200 boosters. I've never even taken her past this purple border, but Ravonna really helps your both of your game plans here. It helps you get Mr. Negative out on turn 3, which is obviously incredible when I do that every single game that we can. But if you're also not drawing into negative, or your curve gets a little bit more awkward, you're able to cheat out some, eke out some victories by being able to get your Knull, Zola, Gore, Iron Man, Mystique, all of those cards down to 1 less cost. You can limp through games with this list. If you are able to get some big destroy hits, you can play Knull into one location by itself on turn 5, and then do a surprise Zola on turn 6 and squeak out some wins. So she's simultaneously here to boost your main game plan, which is early Mr. Negative, into playing a lot of, strong negative flipped cards. And she's there to help you limp through the rest of your games where you're not drawing negative on curve, or you have to just eke out doing things like Gore on 5, copy something with Mystique on turn 6, and then steal another ongoing with your rogue. It helps, and it's kind of crazy to think about how long we were running Mr. Negative decks before she came out in September of 2023. This came out in the Loki season, and it's crazy with how much stopping power this card has, that she was like easily the worst card released that season alongside Loki, Mobius M. Mobius, and Eliath. But Ravonna's incredible. She makes this deck feel phenomenal. I believe is the only other Series 4 card. So between Ravonna and Gore, that's like that's a 9,000 token investment into this deck that is just absolutely incredible right now. Very well worth it. Next, we've got Mystique. I just want to stop and enjoy this variant for a second. I really do love this one. This Peach Momoko Mystique might be the best variant in the game. But ironically, Mystique here with 3-1, when she was nerfed for Mr. Negative, because obviously with the negative pop off, the ideal Mr. Negative game plan is that you're playing Mr. Negative, and then Jane Foster to bring out all your 0-cost cards. Mystique was changed to a 3/1 specifically so that when Jane Foster would go down, she would not get drawn by Jane Foster. Even with that nerf, this deck feels amazing with her. Mystique is your force multiplier. She is copying your Gore. She's copying your Knull. She's copying your Iron Man. Once every 100 games, she's copying your Ravonna. But if you are copying your Ravonna with Mystique, chances are things are looking pretty grim already. So you're probably not winning that match. But hey, never say never. But if someone snaps on you and you've used your Mystique to copy Ravonna, you probably want to dip out of there. But this can create some really great plays. Like if you negative flip Mystique, but you have a full cost, let's just say Knull on the board, you could get a lot more value by you play the Knull, you copy it with Mystique, and then you Zola the Mystique because she's going to be higher power than that. And then you're getting huge pop-off benefits from that way. Same thing with Gore, same thing with Iron Man. Having two chances to get maximum value out of your really high-powered ongoing cards is excellent. And that's what Mystique's here to do, even at a 3/1. Magic should go without saying, but we want an extra turn in the game because this can either help us delay, and if we don't have negative on 4, maybe we have negative on 5 and we still get 2 draws with him. And it also just gives us, if we're playing on curve perfectly, or I guess not perfectly, the perfect curve is Ravonna on 2 into Mr. Negative on 3. But if we play Magic on 3 and Mr. Negative on 4, that's great. Even without Jane Foster, we still get 3 draws of our negative flip cards. Now, the biggest thing to think about when you're using Magic in this deck, and any deck that's playing Magic, is ramp is huge right now. Legion is very prevalent, so is Merlin. You if you're playing a ramp deck, assume they have Legion, especially if they snap on you when you play a Magic. Even if you've got you're playing Magic into Mr. Negative into Jane, they'll snap back because they're going to try to end the game on turn 6 and change the location. Play around that. Don't wait until turn 6 to use your Jane. If you're playing against a Merlin or playing against a Legion, they will try to end the game early. And if you hand dump and do all your big points on turn 6 when they think they're being super clever by playing their Legion into nowhere, I picked the one location you literally can't Legion, playing their Legion into Bar Sinister or Muir Island, or just pick a location to try to get rid of your limbo. If you pop off and just be aware that they're going to do that, you're still going to get the 4 to 8 cube win, and they're going to have wasted their turn 6 by playing a 5/7 because they think they're just going to be able to cheat things out because you're going to be greedy and wait till turn 7 to do the big turn pop off. Be aware of that. In all other situations where there's not a Merlin or a Legion, this just gives you extra chances to do draws, get your combo plays executed. We love Magic. You probably have 12 zillion variants of Magic as well. Get out there, pick your favorite, and just benefit from having that extra turn. I wonder if we'll ever get another card that extends the game to turn 8. I believe Glenn said no, but kind of funny to think about. Killmonger's felt like a card that I could almost cut a bunch of times. I haven't done it yet, but this is another card that we are going for a more destroy top end. This deck right now is saying a lot of people are playing destroy. A lot of people are playing ramp and playing high-powered one-cost cards like Ebony Maw. We're going to take advantage of that for ourselves by having a destroy top end with cards like Knull. And Killmonger can be used as a tech card. We're not seeing a lot of Zoo. If you are, that's hilarious, and free roll with that. We're not seeing a lot of end of turn, but when you do, again, Killmonger is a free roll into that. So he's really there to just pump the power of your Knull, or if you're able to get creative and wait until turn 6 to play him, they're playing out their 30 power Deadpool, and you have blown it up with Killmonger because you already have your 0-cost Knull out there and you're scaling higher than their Knull. There's stuff like that happens more rare, but just a way to get some extra power in there. You're not playing any 1-cost cards. You can really mess with their curve if they're trying to do a proper destroy and you blow up their head pool in a way that it fills up their hand before their Moira X. You can get creative like that. Killmonger does give you some free rolls, but he's ultimately there to just fuel your Knull endgame plan. Rogue. This is another variant I got in December of 2022. A lot of nostalgia going on here. There are a lot of good ongoings out there right now, and more importantly, there are key ongoings like War Machine, that if you take that from somebody who's playing ramp unexpectedly on like a turn 5, the ramp decks that are playing War Machine, their end game is entirely predicated on I'm going to be able to play the Infinite and Ebony Maw on turn 6 because I have 7 energy from ramping. If you take War Machine from them and they've played out, like, let's say an Ebony Maw, for example, early because they have like War Machine on the board, you have totally scammed them. This is as detrimental to that deck as, you know, you getting your Limbo blown up unexpectedly here. Rogue can also take your opponent's Knull. I've won a game, if you check my recent shorts, I won a game by stealing an opponent's Knull with my Rogue and then copying it with Mystique. I don't even think I drew Mr. Negative that match, but that was the game-winning play. So Rogue is a card a lot of people aren't expecting right now, even though we are starting to see more tech cards come back in the form of, like, let's say Shang-Chi. Rogue can be really helpful, especially when we're saying even just disarming a Morbius or something like that, or taking away a Colonel America. It's a really valuable tech card into the matchups that we're really targeting here that are very popular at this moment. Mr. Negative. I never played during beta, so I wasn't there for a 4/4 Mr. Negative, but that sounds ridiculous. I wonder if we could go back to Mr. Negative like having power. I wonder if the meta's evolved enough to where it's not broken for him to have some power. I guess I'm kind of answering my own questions because right now I'm climbing with a Mr. Negative deck that literally only has 1 Series 5 card, so he's probably fine as is, but yeah, this is the centerpiece of our game plan. If you're able to get Mr. Negative out on 3, you want to snap. If you can play him on 4 but have Jane Foster, you want to snap. This is the most reliable snap and retreat deck in the game because you just know when you have... There's no cope staying with Mr. Negative. You know that if you haven't drawn Mr. Negative or you don't have it ready to go by turn 4, you're not staying on a snap. If you haven't pulled Jane Foster, or if you're going to play Jane Foster but you have 3 out of 4 of your 0-cost cards in hand, you know you're not going to pop off in a crazy way. All the information is there for you, and it's asymmetrical because your opponent doesn't know exactly how many they have. I've actually gotten into the habit when I'm playing against Mr. Negative of when they play Jane, I'm like furiously trying to click their profile icon to try and like see how many cards they've drawn from the Mr. Negative, from the Jane pull. And yeah, it feels great. This is a very direct kind of deck where you can say, all right, I got Mr. Negative ready. I'm going straight into pulling Jane. I've got this. There are like maybe 2 decks in the game that also have to hit their nut draw, like an Activate Surfer, that can really compete with a Mr. Negative into Jane Foster play. Feels phenomenal. This is a great time to be playing Mr. Negative, regardless if you have this weird variant or not. Shang-Chi, he's back. He's back, but at least he's back in kind of like a surprisey sort of way. Like maybe I've heard folks calling for like, oh, we need to get the meta back in check because it's just been points. And like, I do not miss the days where we were just being policed by Shang-Chi. That was a dark time for Snap, and it was unfortunately most of the game's playtime, and we just kind of got used to it. We were in like a Stockholm Syndrome sort of thing where we were like, yeah, this is totally fine that we're all living in fear of 1 or 2 tech cards, and all of our deck building considerations are based around the idea that if we play a card with more than 10 power, it's going to get blown up by Shang-Chi because everybody has it. That's normal. That's fine. That's great balance. It wasn't. It's not. He's back, but he's back in a surprise capacity because everybody is just playing cards that Shadow King can't really deal with. Everyone's just comfortably playing out these bigger than 10 power cards, or in Destroy or Discard's case, they're playing out their Deaths, they're playing out their Weapon H's, their Apocalypses, their bigger Khonshu's. Shang-Chi not only blows them up, but because we are a Destroy variant of Mr. Negative, we are fueling our own Knull. We're removing their big threat, and we're pumping it back into our threat that we're hopefully going to get 2 of by copying with Arnim Zola. Welcome back, Shang-Chi. You menace. At least you don't destroy more than 1 card that has 10 power. We'll see if any changes come to you. I'm excited for your January variant. It's coming out. That looks to be the best card they've printed in a year or whatever it was. Now I'm literally talking to Shang-Chi. The sickness is getting to me. Let's keep moving. Iron Man. Woo! Iron Man. There was a time, and a long time at that, where this is a classic card you want to flip with Mr. Negative, where a 0/5 that doubles the power at a location, that was the best card in the game. I don't know if it is anymore, but this still feels fantastic. Getting a 0/5 that you can just hold. What's so great about the Mr. Negative cards costing 0 isn't just that they're free. Like, obviously it's great that they're free, but because they are literally free and don't cost even 1, if you draw this, let's say you play Mr. Negative on 4 and you draw your 0 cost 5 power flipped Iron Man on turn 5, you don't have to play him out. You wait until turn 6. You can do your entire power dump, and your opponent's sitting over there wondering, like, okay, did they get a negative flipped Shang-Chi or Ravonna or Magic, or are they sitting on Iron Man? Excuse me. Just talking about Iron Man really gets me, really just flares up the coughing, apparently. They're wondering, did they get their negative flipped Iron Man, or did they just get some random garbage? And all that information is asymmetrical. You hold on to this. You can either blow it up and get 2 copies of it with a Arnim Zola, play it into a location with a Gore, copy it with Mystique. There are so many different ways to play around. This is your classic, quintessential card you want to flip with Mr. Negative. Jane Foster, the Mighty Thor. I gotta get a better variant of her. I don't want to spend the 5,000 tokens on the Art Germ one. I'm not the biggest Art Germ fan. I don't hate it by any means, but like, this baby variant isn't doing. I guess it's like frustrating because this card comes down, and after Mr. Negative, it's kind of just like, all right, game over. One thing I do love about Jane Foster that doesn't have to do with like the Mr. Negative deck, or kind of does, is that she's obviously designed in a way that she's supposed to draw Mjolnir and Stormbreaker for like, she's supposed to pair with the other Thor cards. Of course she is. She is the Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, the Mighty Thor. But those cards are just so unplayable that she is first and foremost being used in Mr. Negative. I think that's very funny how she's like, sorry Thor, sorry Beta Ray Bill, I'm going to hang over with Iron Man and Zola and Gore of all things. This Mr. Negative deck's more my speed. Peace. But yeah, she draws, if you play Mr. Negative and you have, 2 or more of your 0 cost, or, your cards that are flipped to be 0, like your 6, your Gore, your Knull, your Arnim Zola, your Iron Man. If you have 2 or more of those still in your deck when you play this, it's always a snap. Even if you have 1, it can still be a snap if it's the right one. If you know, like, okay, I've got my Knull, I've destroyed their Ebony Maw with Killmonger. I know I can pull the Arnim Zola, and that's going to let me win the game. It's every single player in the game who is not brand new has to respect the snap on Jane Foster after Mr. Negative. It is maybe the most powerful 1-2 punch in the game, and it's in your deck, so be happy with it. Gore, the God Butcher. Gore just is keyword huge. There's lots of on-reveal cards. You have lots of on-reveal cards. You can copy Gore with a Mystique. You can make 2 of him with Arnim Zola. This is just one of your key Mr. Negative payoffs. After he was released, it's hard to ever imagine a negative deck that doesn't use Gore. There's been times where, like, on turn 7, like, I had like a really clunky Mr. Negative where I was like, I drew into like a Magic Rogue Killmonger or whatever. I just wasn't getting my big cards. I had like a 6 cost Arnim Zola. On turn 7, I drew negative flip Gore, and he was like 0/28, and I was able to just play him down, copying him with Zola, and won the game that way. He can solo a location when he's negative flipped, and getting 2 of them or more than 2 feels phenomenal. Arnim Zola. He is another force multiplier like Mystique. Mystique makes 2 of your negative flip cards or of your high ongoing power cards. Arnim Zola does the same. He's especially strong if you're doing the destroy endgame with cards like Knull or Mystique that's copied Knull. And that's really one of your big play patterns you have to worry about as you're playing this deck, is you want to try to leave 1 location open for copying with Arnim Zola. That way you're not 50-50ing like, oh, am I going to split up my Shang-Chi or my 0/5 Iron Man? Try as much as you can. Like, if Monster Island reveals early, even if you're like clogging things up where it's like, okay, I have a Ravonna, Mystique, and Ravonna Magic and Mr. Negative in 1 location. if you pop off and you get a giant null, you're still going to be able to win that location too. It is way worth it to have 3 cards and look like you're overcommitting with lower power in one location to be able to leave a blank location for the card you're going to split up with Arnim Zola than it is to like have a 50-50 on Arnim Zola. This is more times than not the exact combo that's going to win you the game with priority. Last but certainly not least, it's Knull, the symbiote guy. I don't know a lot about Marvel lore, but he seems to like have to do with the symbiote. So he's incredible right now. All the destroy, all the cards you can destroy, even if you turn him into a 0/6 and you're just destroying, the only card that's been destroyed the game is your negative flip 0/6 Knull. That's 2 0/12s that you're creating with Arnim Zola. Even just playing him outright on his own is sometimes enough. If you're Ravonnaing him on turn 5, that can make a destroy deck have to run away. It feels fantastic. This card is just an absolute beast and has been since he was released back in, I think, December of 2022. We're like, no, like he's been out for freaking ever. And everybody has him at this point. This is a card that is, I believe, completely in Series 3 or Series, I forget exactly what series he is in. Is he Series 3? I'm rambling now, but Knull is your big top end finisher. This is your game plan A of getting a negative flip Knull or a Mystique that's copied the Knull, breaking him apart with Arnim Zola, blowing up cards with Killmonger, and just having 2 massive destroy beasts here. And it feels fantastic. Love having this card right now. And if you want more in-depth deck guides on this, high-level meta theory and tips to make sure that you can reach infinite every single month of the game, you're in the right place. Please hit that subscribe button. It's been amazing making videos for y'all. We're a little over a month and a half into this journey, and the community has been so positive. I love looking at the comments every video. We've got such a great group of people watching, commenting on these videos. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment, boost that YouTube algorithm. We are on our way to joining the Marvel Snap Partner Program. The next big milestone for the channel is hitting that 1,000 subs. So thank you all so much for the support. Leave a comment. Please let me know what you think of this deck. Do you have a different variation of Mr. Negative you want to do? Even if you don't want to talk about anything to do with this video, you have random Marvel Snap questions about deck building or how you should be saving if you're a new player, stuff like that, please leave a comment. I love responding to all these comments. The conversations we have, the jokes that we make are really amazing. I'll respond to every comment as long as you're not being rude or outright trolling me like I normally say here. And hell, even if you don't want to talk about Marvel Snap, leave a comment. You want to just talk about how FLCL is the greatest piece of media ever created, or if you got a good book recommendation. Meal prep stuff. I'm hurting for meal prep recipes. Please let me know about those. I bring a lot. I do a lot of meal prep going in for lunches to work to try to minimize the amount of takeout, because if I just had infinite money, I'd be eating takeout 24/7. I don't know why I'm talking about that here. Clearly the sickness has gotten to me and I'm rambling even more than normal. So before I do that, I just want to say we're going to cut over to some gameplay of me playing this deck. We were doing that live over on Twitch TV, Twitch TV Kicker of Elves. Make sure to follow us over there. It's a great time when we do that. And yeah, this has been a in-depth deck guide on the Destroy variation of Mr. Negative. I'm Kicker of Elves. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye. Nick Foley and Dynamite. I bumped into this guy. Got his Misery. He's got my Zola. Kind of a bummer, but Magic and Negative is solid. Quinjet. He's probably playing Victoria hand. No Ravonna. I'm not opposed to what's happening here. Sure. He's not snapping, so we'll stay. Moon Girl. Jane Foster. Maybe honestly do this. Trigger magic again. I'd almost say snap this. Let's see. Chord. Okay, fine. It's a lot of deafening chords. Lord, do not care for V-Hand. I guess we guarantee the Iron Man pull. And then we could go like Iron Man Gore, or we could go Iron Man Shang-Chi Killmonger. Let's see. Again, he's not snapping, so we're just going to go with the flow on this. We could always rogue the V-Hand. Yeah, because we'll pull Iron Man, and then this feels good. I'm not going to snap, though. Let's see how this plays out. We pull Iron Man, then we either get Mystique or Rogue. I'm kind of okay with either of those. He's taken a while to think through this, too. Like, he's gotten V-Ham, but he's not getting his demon down. Like, is he going to copy it again with Frigga? The board space is really, really rough. So... I mean, as someone who is very much not a V-Hand, the most fun I've had with V-Ham was when Infinity Ultron got buffed and we all thought that, like, oh, maybe this is a thing that we do for a little bit. Okay, let's... Come on, man. They roped for the entire turn 6 to not do anything, and then they see Jane drop and then leave. I feel like I've seen this cat before. Okay, well we can't get Ravonna now, which I don't love. This is 3 of our 4 0 cost cards starting in hand. Not V-Hand. Definitely V-Hand. Magic, maybe? Let's see. If they snap, we might need dip, but... Cosmo. Okay. We'll go Monsieur Negative. Nico, Hood. Jessica Jones. This the Iron Patriot card? Interesting. Yeah, I guess what's the gambit here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it's like we move that over. I'm like Zola, the Gore? Just copy Gore. Could just let it ride with magic. He's probably playing like it's the last turn. JJ. Ooh, but that does give us the opportunity to Shang him. It's probably a retreat, but we'll play it out. We'll play it out. You're welcome to my Ravonna. Acid arrow. Bah. Okay. Gore. Mystique. We'll just rogue. V-hand's good. That's good. So is that, but 28 power. Some 30 power. 32. We go back to 30. And do we snipe the V-hand? Sure, we snipe the V-hand. Fun. Literal. Okay, here we go. That's incredible. Ugh, Wiccan. Just the absolute dog water dregs that you could possibly have. Oh, cool. Okay, Bishop. Do not like Wiccan. Okay, unfortunately, we drew half of our zero costers here. Werewolf. No, if they hit me with a freaking acid arrow, I'm gonna lose my mind. We do have to just risk it, unfortunately. Basic. Mirage to get a Mystique, but to what end? Hood. So his werewolf's going to be in Shang range. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. Come on, what's going on? Nico, Sasquatch, Misery. So it's Gore, Mystique, drop the Zola, and then we blow up mid. We don't snap as to not scare them off. Eliath is the only thing that beats this. Let's see. Didn't snap, so he might stay. He fist bumped, so I will fist bump too before we know the outcome. But I think deep down we know how this is going to go. And then, boom. There we go. That's a classic pop-off. You have to be careful about when you're snapping when you get the Janes, because you want to get 2 cubes instead of 1 when you can, because there are just going to be so many times where you have to retreat because you didn't draw negative early enough that you need to be mindful of those things. We were going into stuff of like a Galactus. There's just enough nonsense earlier that sent me climbing up the walls, dude. Holy crap. Like I don't think I've ever seen that play line happen. What's going on here? That's cool. I don't see that Wolverine all that much. If we pull into our Knull, that's cool. Dormammu, I wasn't even paying attention. Yo, you just threw Weapon X into Arisham? Dude, that's based. Yeah, I did it earlier today, and I'm just like, I'm looking at this like, this card is like, how did they drop the ball so hard on a literal card that is Wolverine? I don't think we've gotten any other Wolverine variations. Their first Wolverine, they did like, I feel like this was their go to like get some players back. It's like, oh, we'll do the grand arena where it's all pre-con, so don't worry if you're not collection complete, come back in. We got this flashy Wolverine card, and like maybe, yeah, just Wolverine's kids. And like maybe if you were in like series 1 or something, this feels great. Like you don't have death, you don't have null, like, you know, not all players are like in the end game. Maybe that's when he feels fantastic, but like, Okay, so we snap this. I'm still laughing at throwing Weapon X into Arishem. They gotta buff him though, right? Like, there's no way they leave like the second Wolverine card in the game. That's literally a season pass destroy scaler is like being kind of middling. We obviously don't have access to like all of Second Dinner's data, but like I gotta imagine it's not telling a totally different story. All right, so they're not. Or no, hold on. I think it's Knull, Mystique, Iron Man, Zola. Yeah, I wonder what they do with him. I wonder if they just buff him up to a 2/3. Like, if they put text on him like regular Wolverine, that's like, oh, this card can regenerate. He becomes like broken. Ah, the retreat. Top of RNG. Oh, Pixel. Gotta always fist bump a fellow Alliance member. Yeah, exactly, Pluggy. It's like it doesn't. You are constantly able to make those kinds of comparisons because that's how they've designed the card. I mean, flavorful. It's great like that. It's just I want absolutely nothing to do with that card. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to be playing quite a bit of Gambit towards the end of the month when we don't have negative. So I kind of that's great. Ravonna decreased our Shang-Chi. So I kind of want to do this. It's tough. I do this, and the next turn I'm gonna draw Mr. Negative. So we're gonna go with this. Yeah, no, of course, because I did not play negative, because I did not magic the Tarnax or whatever and let this stay there. Negative did not come into the hand. What's going on, bro? No, he dodged my Killmonger. Is it too late to negative? No, because we can do it here. Let's see. Oh my gosh. It's beautiful. I feel like we have to wait on this. And then it's... I mean, why not just to have it out there? Just on the off chance. So we go Iron Man, Mystique, and then drop the Zola. Ooh, there is a lot of cards out here. Let's see what happens. And of course it pulls a Gambit for me. Oh What happened? Reconnect, reconnect. Boof. We didn't even get to see it.